8 years on. Anorexia recovery journey update, where I started, how it's going, and Q&A. It was a few days ago when I stumbled across a video by Ro Mitchell, who did a similar kind of video, similar kind of title, and she provided a 6-month update, I think, on her recovery journey. I think she's probably done several ones since. I thought this was such a good concept, such a good video, that I thought I would make my own version of it, but rather than focusing on this 6-month mark, going all the way to the 8-year mark to show you what my recovery was like back in the day, partway through, and how it's developed to what it is now. I hope it's a really helpful video. I'll also be linking Rose's video in the description below. If you hear any weird noises, it's because I've got a dog behind me. Let's get into the juicy bits, i.e. what I've done and how it's going, my plans for the future, and then a little Q&A at the end. As per usual, I'm wearing the necklace that Tom gave me 6 years ago. But except for that, all my jewellery is literally always Anna Luisa. So, where am I at now? 1. I've settled at my healthy weight. 2. I've been getting periods, and I wouldn't call them the most consistent or completely symptom-free due to the PCOS diagnosis, but I've been getting periods since 2016, and I've embraced an intuitive approach to eating and moving my body. I wouldn't have gotten here had I not, 1. pushed for weight gain in spite of the mental and physical pushback. 2. Forced myself to rest and eat and reduce my stress all day, every day. And 3. Started off with a more regimented approach so that I made sure I had all of my minimums before embracing this greater freedom later down the line. So yeah, initially in my journey, I was faced with a lot of mental and also physical pushback. I experienced a lot of anxiety. Lots of emotions that I'd coped with by using the eating disorder came up, and this was very stressful as well. And while the side effects faded bit by bit, there were some things like weight redistribution and feeling more comfortable and confident in my body that just took a little while longer to fully set themselves straight. A final thing that changed as well, obviously, was, my digestion got a lot better, my metabolism got a lot better, my hormones were just a lot more balanced. So as a result of that, I have a lot more energy. I'm not cold all of the time, but also I'm not gaining weight off of the tiniest portions as I did back in the day. I can eat a whole lot more than I did back then and maintain my current set point range. So yeah, over time and by being really diligent with my recovery, pushing for my recovery, making certain things non-negotiable, I got to where I am today. My digestion improved as I ate more, diversified my diet, and gained weight and hormonal balance. I got boobs and a cycle, and in general, I just feel a whole lot more aligned with the natural rhythms, the ebbs and flows, the energy levels of my body. I'm never cold. Honestly, never, and that is quite a change in and of itself. And then my skin. Oh my god, my skin. During my eating disorder, my skin was fairly clear, although very dry. But then during my recovery, it had a period, I think a 2-year period, where it went absolutely mad. Not only did I have a very puffy face, I had a lot of acne for a bit of time. And at the same time, it was still dry as well. It seemed very contradictory, but it was very unruly. I think this was mainly due to, water retention first off, but also just my hormones trying to rebalance themselves. And as they have rebalanced themselves now, as you can see, the skin is a lot clearer now. At certain times of my cycle, it might just act up a little bit, but it's not that big a deal anymore nowadays in my life. And I'm very thankful for that, because that too played into my self-esteem quite a bit at the time. Nowadays, mentally, I have no more fear foods. Food is no longer something that holds that much power over me. It doesn't take up all of my brain space. In addition, while there may be certain items where there's still, a faded image of, calorie figures and all of that, on the whole, I've actually forgotten most of my calorie knowledge intentionally. And even for those few items where, my memory is pretty good, even for those few items that I may know or have a general sense of the calories, I'm not inclined to add things up anymore. So just that one floating number in my brain doesn't hold any power. It's not in any context, and it just doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't drive my entire day as it used to do in the past. I now haven't been in hospital for 8 years. I haven't been in any kind of treatment or received any kind of support for the past 7 years, and I've actually never been happier. That is not to say that treatment is not necessary. It just isn't necessary anymore for me at this point in my life. And if anything changes, if ever I feel like I need any kind of psychological support for my mental well-being in general, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a healthy way of coping, a way of coping that does not require the eating disorder. I'm open to that, but I just don't feel the need for it now. There's just so many other things going on in my life. So many things that I'm now able to focus on, concentrate on, now that I have the brain space. And I think it's a beautiful place to be. Having said that, there's room for growth. There always is. Life would be pretty boring if there wasn't. I think certain things like discovering my own style are still on the agenda, something I never did or allowed myself to do at the time of the eating disorder. In addition, being okay with taking time off and treating myself. These probably too are part of that eating disorder mentality, but they're also things that are so praised in society in general, being budget, saving money, not being too self-indulgent. All of these things are things that I can definitely still work on, and those things too are really important in proving that food, money, resources, etc. are not scarce. I live a life of abundance. Sometimes you just gotta fake it till you make it. I think that's a life lesson in general. On the topic of, finding myself and finding my style, I couldn't not shout out Ana Luisa at this point. Ana Luisa, as you may know, are the sponsors of today's video, and I'm pretty sure they'll be alright with me shouting them out, sort of not in the first section of the video, because I have been promoting them to all of my friends and all of my family every year for the past however many years, because I absolutely, wholeheartedly love this company. I'm sure they love me as much as I love them. 3 new babies this Christmas. Anyway, I really don't have any words. I think this company is great. As I said, I've been working with them for years, and this is the only jewelry that doesn't irritate my skin, that is just super cute and elegant, affordable and sustainable. I think this stuff is absolutely stunning, and I think it makes for the perfect Christmas presents. They also provide me with a discount code to share with all of you, so there's really no excuses. So yeah, I'm embracing life. I'm ready to live it fully. And hopefully you can all do the same too. Right. I had to be an adult and do a coaching call, let the dog out, have some lunch. But I've got myself a snack. 2 of these potato cakes. If you haven't tried them yet, absolutely bomb. So I'm having myself a snack, and I'm going to be doing the Q&A section of this video. I don't change my snacks for the sake of these videos, which is a problem, because my mouth is definitely going to be stuck together with these. But we live and we don't learn. The first question is, how do you handle feeling behind in life now because of the eating disorder? And I think that's a really good question. I think I've now come to a point in my life where I no longer feel behind. But for the longest time, I was that person. I didn't go to school. I deferred my university entry, and when people asked me, "Where have you been for a year?" I never really knew what to respond, because I didn't want to say, well, I had a life-threatening eating disorder and I fell off the face of the earth, which was essentially what had happened. So yeah, I think that's a really good question, a really tricky question. But what I did was I just focused on my journey, and I told myself, I can't undo the past. What I can do is make sure that I don't lose more years of my life still. What I can do is make sure that I focus on my recovery now. And if that means completely putting my life on hold for another week, another month, another year, I'm willing to do that. And that's actually what helped me go for that final push in my recovery. Because so far, I hadn't wanted to be behind in life. I hadn't wanted to put my life on hold. And as a result, I kept half-assing recovery alongside all of these other commitments. It's once I decided I'm fully committing to this now, regardless of any other variables in my life, that's when, I lost a year, but I gained my life. The next question is about finding a new identity or life after recovery from the eating disorder. Any tips and advice? My biggest tip is go all into your recovery, and you will find that as you go into that fear of the unknown, well, food starts to hold less power over you with time. And that means that, automatically more space opens up for other things. Your brain space won't be completely dedicated to food and calories and compulsive movement. And you may find that certain passions bubble up quite naturally. And maybe right now you can't quite imagine that yet because you're not yet at that place. But for me, it was quite a natural progression and not something I had to put that much thought and effort into per se. I just focused on my recovery and let everything else come my way that was going to come my way. You can also get back to hobbies that you had before the eating disorder, if applicable, or just try out lots of new things. The fun part about recovery is trying lots of new foods, trying lots of new activities, stepping outside of that comfort zone and rediscovering the new you. That's scary, but that's super exciting as well. The next question is, how did you go back into work and social life near the end and after recovery? I had a year out just to focus on what I wanted to do, on taking rest, on making sure the foundations of my recovery were properly there. And then I continued with the plans that I'd already set beforehand, that the eating disorder had prevented me from doing. So for me, that meant going to university, studying, and now actually having the brain space to do that. For other people, that might be completely different. They might not have a plan set out, but that's okay too. It's about dipping your toe in, trying something out, trying to determine what your core values are, and then finding ways of living up to those core values. And maybe the first thing you try, or even the first 2 or 3 things you try, end up not vibing with you. That's fine, move on, try something else. It's quite common in life, and even for me, my coaching business, the stuff I do right now, that's my 3rd post-university job. First job was not for me. I thought it was going to be great. It wasn't. Second job, I absolutely loved, but there were some things that I was just still missing in life, and it's okay to acknowledge that, to accept that, to take that information and to learn from it, to grow, to develop into the person that you're going to develop into, regardless of what that looks like. Final question, and I think these are, really good questions. I think I'll probably leave it at that. The final question is, what are your plans and goals for 2024? My plans and my goals are to settle in the new house, do some traveling, but a bit more low-key, not going to Asia quite yet, though I'd love to. I want to grow my coaching business. I am pretty convinced I'm going to relaunch the 8-week program, the group program, because that was so overwhelmingly positive and just so good on all these levels. And I want to continue working on myself, my work-life balance, my social network, all of the things that I'm just really enjoying discovering right now and that I want to keep enjoying and discovering throughout my life. There's no such thing as, working towards one set point. I think it's always an ebb and a flow, a progress, a process. And you keep learning about yourself, and that's the fun of it. So yeah, that's it for the questions. Thanks for tolerating me. Thanks for tolerating this video. If you did, let me know. Any other questions, let me know. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. See you soon. Don't forget to check out Anna Louisa this Christmas.